This is Earth Radio. And now here's human music.
What's up? How's it going? Somebody asked me for some advice. Somebody sent me a DM on Instagram. Their question was, I want to start a restaurant. What do I do? Do you have any advice? What should I do? And I actually do have advice. And let me first say that I've never started a restaurant. I've invested in restaurants, nightclubs, and bars, but I haven't started a restaurant. But I'll tell you that as a business person, this is a pretty simple concept. And I would say that the biggest mistake people make is they just go open a restaurant. They go pick this amazing location and they make their menu and they worry about the decorations and everything else, and they don't really have a clue what they're doing. Nobody has a clue what they're doing on their first restaurant. But let's start with something simple. You don't want to lose money when you start a business. That's the first goal of a business, really, is like, don't lose money. It's the first goal of any investment, really. So you have to ask yourself, number one, what is my main product at a restaurant? Your main product's the food. So you've got to make sure people love your food. And now I'm sure that your family and friends tell you that they love your food. But for me, the first thing that I would do if I was going to open a restaurant is I would start showing up at farmers markets with my food, with my top maybe 3 dishes. And so I'm sure a lot of places don't have farmers markets like in California, and even we've got a great one here in Puerto Rico where there's not just farmers selling produce and things like that, but there's actually this, tons of little craft food and everything else. But maybe maybe you're selling this at a local fair or a festival where there's other food vendors around. Maybe you're selling it at a pop-up stand on the beach. So I would say that the very first step is to make sure that people like your food. And also, this gives you a great opportunity because you can test. Hey, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna make a bacon hamburger, and I'm gonna make a triple cheese hamburger, and I'm gonna make an onion ring with a fried egg hamburger. And I'm gonna have those 3 things on the menu, and that's it. And I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna see which one sells more. And then what people say about it. So you test hamburgers one day, and if you're gonna open a store that sells, hamburgers and some other things, and then you'll see, at this farmer's market or whatever, hey, it turns out nobody wants this onion ring egg sandwich, and everyone wants the bacon sandwich, and a few people ordered the normal, hamburger. So to start my menu, I absolutely have to have this bacon hamburger. Boom, you got that test done, you figured out it sells well, you figure out people like it. Maybe the next day you show up, at the farmer's market, or the next week you show up at the farmer's market and you say, hey, I want to have these specialty chips, these kettle cooked chips that I made. So I'm going to make 3 different chips. I'm going to make a jalapeno chip, and I'm going to make a cheddar chip, and I'm just going to make a salt and vinegar chip. And you set your stand up, and you've got these chips, and you've got some free samples, and you only sell $30 or $40 worth of chips. And when you were selling the hamburgers, you were selling hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You realize people are passing you by left and right because they're not really interested in the chips. So maybe you then learn, hey, this is great. I'm not going to have chips on my menu. These special kettle popped chips that you thought were so great, maybe you love them, maybe your family loves them, but they're a novelty item and they're not going to sell well. So really the important thing is testing. And before you go spend $1 million or $500,000 or $250,000 to go start a restaurant, to go pick the perfect location, go do all these things, it's important first to test your product. So once you figured out through bake sales or farmers markets or pop-up stands or whatever it may be, what your best products are, you can then compose your menu. And then I think the next thing is, again, if the goal is don't lose money, test your market. The next thing is maybe, as opposed to leasing a huge space and whatever, maybe you expand to doing just the farmer's market on Sunday in your town, to doing the farmer's market on Sunday in your town, and doing the street festival that is every Thursday, every first Thursday of the month in the next town over. And you test your food there. And you're also building up a following. People are getting to know who you are. You can test different names, to see how you like things, see how it feels, when you put it up on your stand, Papa's Chicken or Jimmy O's restaurant or whatever you want. And you can see how it feels. You can see how you feel about it, because naming stuff is hard too. So you've then moved from, 1 or 2 days, you've got your food products dialed, you really understand what sells, you really understand what people like. You're building a loyal following. You're starting to get repeat customers that come to this farmers markets or these pop-up stands every single week, and they're requesting your food. Those are going to be your diehard customers. And then most people will be like, okay, now I'm ready for a restaurant. Maybe, but probably not. Then, again, you don't want to invest hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars if you can avoid it, because you still just have this small sample size. Now, you might think you're the shit, but you're probably not. The next thing I would do is I would go split a food truck with somebody, or where they have these kind of restaurant stands where there's 20 small restaurants all in one area, these restaurant gastropub parks, or these food truck parks where, all these food trucks are parked every day from certain hours, sometimes all day, and people can go there and they can go to these different ones. Well, now you've got a 5 to 7 day a week restaurant, in a food truck, and you're building these loyal customers, and you're building these following. And you know what? You shouldn't stop doing those farmers markets, because you're building a loyal customer. Maybe the farmers markets is where you start testing everything, where you're testing pricing and your food and everything else. And then the food truck is where you only take the proven concepts. And after you've got this loyal following from doing your farmer's market every Sunday in your town, doing the first Thursday of the month in the other town at their farmer's market, and you've got your food truck that's open 5 days a week that's serving these customers, and you've got these loyal customers over and over and over, and they're starting to request catering from you, and things are going really, really well, and you realize that you love the restaurant business. Not just that you loved to cook, not just that you loved the cachet and the flash of owning a restaurant, you realize you actually really love the food service business. Then you can go and talk with experts, talk with real estate experts about what areas you might want to be in. Talk with your customer base about where they can see a restaurant. Think about how important parking is or isn't. Think about how much foot traffic you need. You can talk to the real estate guys and figure out, hey, how many restaurants have failed in this location and why have they failed? If 7 restaurants in a row have failed in a location, don't put your restaurant there. Like, you might be better than them, but you're probably not better than all of them, and they probably failed for a reason. So the greatest thing about using this approach in business is you got to start very small with just a farmer's market. And then you got to expand it a little bit. And you got to work out all the kinks. And you got to work out all these kinks. A standard farmer's market's like $200. So you get to work out all these kinks with maybe like $200 or $300 in food costs, $200 per farmer's market, and you've got to work things out, as opposed to a restaurant where you might be paying $10,000 or $20,000 in rent, and you've got to pay a cashier, you've got to pay a host or hostess, and you've got to pay, the kitchen staff, as opposed to having, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year in costs, where you're trying to work shit out. Figure out pricing, figure out your menu, figure out what sells, what doesn't, build a loyal customer base, train your staff. You get to do all of that, risking almost no money. So if you want to start a restaurant because you love food or because you think it's cool, take these steps and you won't lose money. And you know what? A lot of you are going to start this and you're going to realize you hate the food service business, or that you hate the customer service business, or that people aren't willing to pay as much as you thought they would for your food, or that it's actually harder to make money in this than you thought. And so you get to realize all these things. And again, you've taken a very small amount of your time and a very small amount of your money, and you've gotten to prove to yourself that this is or isn't the business for you. You've gotten to prove to your customers that your food's great and that the service is great and that they love you. So that the day that you open your restaurant, your grand opening for your restaurant, you've got a line of customers out the door. You send all your customers, you tell them at the next 5 farmers markets, we're opening this restaurant on this date, this date, this date. It would be huge support if you could show up. We're gonna open the doors at 6 p.m., on this Thursday night. That's our opening. And you're gonna have a line out the door. News cameras are gonna show up because people are gonna say, what is going on at this restaurant? They must be giving away free food, but you're not. You've spent the last year or two building this loyal customer base that is going to support you because they got to see you through from the beginning all the way growing up. You're like their child almost. And they're going to be honest with you. And you know what? If those customers stop coming, you have a problem. You rested on your laurels a little bit. So that's how I would start a restaurant. That's my 2 cents. Thanks for asking me the question. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. Please go to my Instagram at James Charles Payne and subscribe. 100% business and mindset. It's all about business and mindset. That's all I talk about. And I'm here for you. So ask me anything. Best on Instagram. I'm trying to reply to every single comment that's more than just cool or great photo. So hit me on Instagram at James Charles Payne. Subscribe to YouTube right here. that's where I put out my content. So anyway, guys, get out there, crush it. Good luck with your restaurant.